Hi guys, it's Lizzie McGhee here, Grafton Barber TV. If you look over to my right here, you see the lovely legend that be Charlie Chaplin. Well, on stage right at the moment, doing a bit of a sound check, is the fabulous Jewell and the amazing Christy Dignam from the band Aslan, little Dublin band that you might know of. They're going to give us a few minutes of their time and give us a little chat and an interview with Grafton Barber TV to see what's upcoming on Storytellers tonight. Stay tuned, guys. Guys, literally just as I was heading up the stairs with these boys, I just heard, Christy, I love you. This is insane. I'm sitting here with the two legends spanning over 25 years.
45 years.
35 years. I stand corrected because he doesn't look old enough to have that. And I am here with 2 out of 5 of Aslan. Lads, how are you?
How are you doing?
This is very exciting. You're here playing tonight, Storytellers at the Pillow.
Yeah, basically myself and Joe, what we did, when I was diagnosed 5 years ago, I spent about 8 months in hospital, and then I was in a wheelchair for about another 8 months. So it was about 2 years not gigging. So when I came back, there's a thing called chemo brain you get from the chemotherapy. And we started rehearsing to kind of get back with Aslan, to get back into the gigging. And I'd forgotten the words of the songs. So I kept forgetting parts. I wouldn't have forgotten an entire song. But like we'd be singing a song, and halfway through I'd start forgetting words and stuff. So I had to basically relearn all the songs again. So we decided to just get kind of my voice back to the way it was and stuff.
Gig fit.
To get gig fit, yeah. So we started doing this thing. So basically what it was kind of doing, the Aslan songs and talking about where they came from and stuff, which you don't really get the opportunity to do at an Aslan concert, And we're also playing obscure songs that we wouldn't normally play at Aslan gigs. So I noticed we were getting a different audience for this. And there was a completely different energy. Like with Aslan, it's full on, where this was much mellower, it was much more intimate, and I really liked the vibe of it, So now that we didn't need to be doing it anymore, I didn't want to stop doing it because I was enjoying it. It was like being in another band kind of thing. So it just took, it kind of got legs, and we just kept going with it. So we do, we still have the Aslan thing going. We're going to London tomorrow with Aslan. But we just enjoyed it so much that we kind of kept doing it.
Christy, speaking of other bands, you began with Mila.
Sorry?
You began with a band called Mila.
Mila 18, jeez. Yeah, you done your research there. Yeah, years ago we were in a band, Mila 18. We were kind of, just like Dublin band, gigging around Dublin. And we were all working at the time, and we decided then at one point to give up our jobs. So myself and Joe were working in Telecom Ireland as telephone technicians, and we jacked that in, and we went to the rest of the band because we felt, because we had these kind of pensionable jobs to fall back on, it was robbing us of the hunger to succeed, because we thought, if the band doesn't happen, we have these great jobs kind of thing. So we jacked in our jobs, we went to the rest of the band, and some of them wouldn't leave their jobs, and it kind of whittled down to just me and Joe basically. And then we went around, and there was other bands going around Dublin at the time, so we kind of got the best drummer that we seen going around, the best, and we formed another, and it became Aslan. So that's where Aslan came from. Yeah.
And tell me, which is your favourite song that you could perform with Aslan or here tonight with Joe?
Tonight there's a song called Broken Soul that I love. I suppose that's probably my favourite song to do, with Aslan song with me and Joe. But look, there's some great songs that we we also do songs tonight of people who inspired us when we were starting off. So there are other, like we do Bowie stuff, a Bowie song and a Pink Floyd song and stuff like that. So there are other songs that are great songs, but I don't know. My favourite song changes all the time.
Christy, who's your hero?
Oh God, I'm not really a hero person, to be honest with you. I am the hero, I know, I'm only joking. Bowie would have been a big deal, back in the day when he was alive. And today still, when you look at his output and what he's created, there'll never be anything like him again, So we played him in Slane a few years ago in the 80s, which was a great, to this day, it's one of the highlights of my career.
Did you get to meet him?
We didn't on the day, but years later he was playing in the Point, and we kind of got to meet him then. But on the day, and it was said to him about, what happened was we were after the gig, we went to a place called the Pink Elephant, which was the kind of Lily's Bordello of its day, and he was there where he had these two big minders, big ex-Marine heads, and Billy went to go over to Bowie, and they stood up and pushed him away. So when years later it was said to him about that, he'd said that at that time, Lennon had been shot, you know, been assassinated a couple of years before that, and it was in the height of the troubles over here, and he was an Englishman over here, and he was real paranoid about all that. So that's why he had all the security. Because I remember when he was going on stage, when he was backstage in the Point, they all dressed in grey boiler suits, and they came out in army formation. So there was like 4 across and 6 back, you know, like a column of soldiers, and Bowie was in the middle of it all, you know. So if you were a sniper looking, you wouldn't know which one was Bowie, you know. But so he was really extremely paro at that time about getting plugged, you know. So.
And tell me, Christy, you're appearing next week on Living with Lucy. What was it like getting your 24-hour surveillance in your own house?
It was cool, actually. You know, they asked me last year to do it, and I didn't. You know, I was kind of thinking it's a big kind of invasion of your privacy. And my wife Catherine wasn't into it at all, you know, because she likes to keep things separate, you know, from the music. But this year, when they asked us to do it again, and like I'd met Lucy a couple of times when I was doing the 7 o'clock show, and I kind of got on with her. She's a really cool girl, you know. She's very funny. I got her humour. So when the thing came up, we were gigging in Limerick. She comes on a Friday, Saturday and Sunday, right? So we are going to Limerick on the Saturday gigging. So I said to Catherine, I said, look, she's not even going to hardly be here because we're going to be going down to Limerick with the band, and then we're coming back up Sunday, and she'd be just kind of going then Sunday morning. So she was hardly in the house kind of thing. Yeah. So we just decided to do it just for a vibe. But she's great. She's really cool, you know. She's very funny, and we get on well. We kind of got each other, you know.
And Christy, your original background, you started off as what they almost call an operatic singer. So how did you change into like rock pop icon?
I didn't start. Basically, see, that's kind of, you know, what happened was when I was a kid, my dad used to play on a Sunday. He used to make the dinner, and he was a big opera fan. So he'd be playing all these John McCormick and Caruso songs. And at the time, Mario Lanza was a big kind of Hollywood kind of tenor. So he was playing all this stuff. So I grew up listening to all that. So that kind of, if you like, you know, was back there somewhere. So then, I've always wanted to be in a band. So, you know, I was in school choir and then all this crap kind of going through my childhood and all that. So then when we started in bands, would have been in the late 70s when the punk thing was going. So it was all angst and screaming. So I started losing my range because of all the screaming I was doing. So I went around looking for different singing teachers, and I finally found this guy called Frank Merriman, who ran a thing called the Bel Canto School of Singing. And Bel Canto is what Pavarotti used, and Enrico Caruso. I don't know if you ever heard of Caruso?
I have.
Yeah. So it's the style of singing he uses. And so he was teaching that. So when I went in, he taught it through Italian opera singing. So because I had this kind of thing in the back of me psyche somewhere from listening to me old man when I was a kid, you know, it appealed to me. So I went there, and I studied with him for about 12, 13 years or something like that, and it was all his teaching was operatic, you know. So I said to him at the beginning, look, I've absolutely no interest in singing opera music, so is that going to be a problem? Because other teachers I'd gone to before I found him, they'd say, oh, we're bringing you 3 steps forward or 2 steps forward, you're going 3 steps back, singing that bloody rock and roll crap and all. And I said, if that's your attitude, to Frank, I said, if that's your attitude, I said, it's not going to work. But it wasn't. He reckoned singing was singing, so singing was about getting your voice better. Whatever genre you wanted to put that into was irrelevant to him, you know. So that was cool. That suited me down to the ground. So yeah, I love the opera. I love listening to it, you know, and it's the high art of singing, you know. So if you're going to be a guitarist, you want to be listening to the best guitarist in the world, and where a guitarist like Jimi Hendrix or somebody who's brought it to the outside of the envelope. And equally with singing, you know, if you're going to be listening to singers, why not listen to the Grand Prix of singers, you know? That's the way I look at it. So, you know, people think, you know, they join bands and they learn how to play guitar, they go to guitar lessons and they go to drumming lessons, but people think, oh, well, I can sing, I sang at a party last week, I'll be the singer of the band. But singing to me is, you know, the way I look at view singing is this, right? You have your music, a band will write a song with music in it, right? Your general public don't understand music so much, so the singer is like a translator of the song to the public. Do you know what I mean? He's the last link to the public to translate the music. So is a very important part of it, and you have to learn how to do that, you know, to do it properly. It's an instrument. Every other instrument is based around the voice, because you've got the octave in the voice, you know. So people kind of think, I sang at parties in my gaff one night. I'm great, I'll sing in the band. That's why you have all these shit singers going around, you know, because people don't realise how important it is. To me, it's very important.
You have discovered some singer-songwriters and you've been instrumental in bringing people to the forefront. How do you discover a singer-songwriter?
Well, obviously we get lots of people coming to us and they'll give us, you know, CDs, or they'll email us songs and stuff like that. I'll give you an example of one, actually. This is how it works. Just to tell you, Damien Dempsey, we gave him his first gig in the Point of Support. Gavin James, we gave him in a place called Finglas in Cabra, we were doing a gig. Gavin James, that was his first gig. Damien Rice, we gave him his first gig, the Rose of Tralee, and then we brought him up, he's played us in the Point as well. Who else was there? There's been a few like that we've over the years. But this is how it happens. I got a phone call at Christmas of this woman that I knew from year when I was a kid, right? And she said, listen, she says, I have a son and he's in a band and they're brilliant, and they're not getting the breaks they deserve, you know. Is there anything you can do for them? And I said, listen, Vera is her name. I said, listen, Vera, I says, not, you know, with all due respect, I says, I had a singing school. Before I got ill, I had this singing school, right, and I was teaching singing to these kids and to younger kids. I said, I'd get a phone call during the week, and a woman would say, I have a 13 or 14-year-old son or daughter, and when they sing, it's like angels jumping out of their mouth. It's that, I'd be bawling my eyes out, they're that good, you know. And I'd book an audition for them, and they'd come in, and they wouldn't have a note in their fucking head, you know. And I'd go, holy shit, you know. But it was the mother's love was hearing something that nobody else was hearing, you know. And I said this to Vera, I says, with all due respect, I says, you are their mother, you know, his mother. I said, look, send me a CD, and send me a song, and I'll have a listen to it. So the band were called Vinci, as in Leonardo da Vinci, and she sent me a demo kind of over, emailed it to me, and I had to listen to it. And Billy out of the band looks after the supports and that, and I got on to him immediately, and we were playing the Ivy Gardens that summer, the summer just gone. So I said, look, Billy, I said, I'm at the finding a band here. I says, I'm going to send you a song. I said, have a listen to it and see is it me, or, you know. And Billy rang me back 10 minutes later. He said, oh yeah. He said, look, give them the gig, they're amazing. And that's how it works, you know. Now we'd have hundreds of bands sending us stuff, and there's very few that get you like that, you know what I mean? But when you hear them, you just know, you know. And this guy's, check them out. Check them out yourself. Vinci, they're called. Excellent. So they played us we've got them in the Ivy Gardens, and they played us, and they were brilliant. And the singer walked off the stage after the gig. His fucking father died of a heart attack outside the venue. He was parking the car outside the gig, had a massive heart attack. And so the young fella was buzzing after the gig, and then to be told this, you know, it was
straight
tragic.
back down to earth.
So the whole thing was put a damper on everything, you know. But I guarantee you're going to be hearing from this band, you know. You just know there's sometimes it's I suppose Simon Cowell will call it the X Factor. It's not the X Factor, it's just talent, you know. You hear talent, the cream will always rise to the top. And, you know, when you're listening to loads of stuff, you always know when there's something special. It just has that little extra. You can't put your finger on it, but they have it anyway.
Joe, do you remember your first gig?
I don't know, when was our first gig?
The Towers.
The Towers, the Ballymoon Towers, yeah. We just formed some band, I don't even know, it was that long ago. I don't remember who was in it, well, obviously except Christy. And, Jesus, we were terrible.
We were brutal.
Oh my God, we were brutal.
Did you do great?
The Ballymoon Towers.
And was this the telecom Erin days, or were you?
Before
that, way before that. Like, I don't know.
We'd done loads of things. Right, this is how it started. I was working on a building doing suspended ceilings, steel ceilings here, right? And Joe was working in doing aluminium windows, right? So I'd be off and Joe would be working, and it was very hard to organise rehearsals. So I left my job and started doing this aluminium stuff with Joe, right? So then we were steaming along down, that was great. Then Joe left and went to telecom, which brought us back to where we were at the beginning. So now he was off again. At times I was walking down aluminium windows. And I said, so then I left there and went to telecom. So the two of us were in telecom. So the whole thing has been going along. So myself and Joe were together since we were young kids, you know. We grew up together and we went to school together right from childhood. So we were always the nucleus of anything that we'd done, you know.
And then we left telecom together as well then.
Yeah.
So that's why we decided, like, government job.
That's right. And at that time, you have to understand, this would have been in the mid-80s, early 80s. We were in a really bad recession, you know, the jobs are few and far between. And to be in a job that had a good pension and all that, like when I came home at the time, I said to my man, I'm leaving the job to go full time. He thought I was off me fucking tree, you know. To this day, my outfit still hasn't forgiven me, you know. He gave him. It's ironic, really, because I was slagging all these dudes, you know, when we were leaving, you know, oh, we're going out to be in a band. They're all retired now on lovely pensions, and I'm still working. So kind of.
But you're doing what you love, Christy, so it's different.
So it's not working, yeah. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, you know. So.
And guys, Alabama 3, Sinead O'Connor, Damien Rice, they're just a few that you have influenced and work with. Ideally, if you could pick anybody to write with or sing with, who would it be and why?
I tell you who I like, and it's only in the last kind of couple of months I've been listening to stuff. What's his name? Out of Snow Patrol. What's his name?
Oh yeah.
The singer out of Snow
Gary
Patrol.
Lightbody?
I'd like it because I like the way he writes. He's lovely. Damien Rice as well. Damien Rice is brilliant. Jesus. I looked at one of his things on Sky Arts. It was just him playing the guitar, a gig, you know. Amazing, like absolutely amazing singer-songwriter. So there's loads of people, you know.
Damien Dempsey for me, like I just think Damien just blows me away every time. You know, it's just he's just so into it, just really ordinary lyrics, just brilliant.
And lads, if you could be in another band for one day, whose band would it be? Just for one day.
Ooh.
I wouldn't mind being in U2 for a day, because I'll tell you why. I'd get all the money I earned that day and put it in the bank.
Joe, how about yourself?
Oh, the Rolling Stones.
Oh yeah.
Who would you be in the Rolling Stones? You could take over somebody's body in there.
Just a guitarist, any guitarist. Just when them plays, they just plug in and play. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, the only problem I'd have with the Stones is Jagger to me is the epitome of a rock star, you know. So you're kind of up against it. I'd never be able to outshine him, so I wouldn't want to be in the Stones. But does that say that I'm saying I could outshine Bono? No, I don't think that. But I know I could do what Bono does. But Mick Jagger is, you know, like I love that whole Liam Gallagher as well. Liam Gallagher's great. Just a brilliant front man. You know, whether you like him, whether you think he's an arsehole, when he gets on the stage, he owns the fucking thing, you know, and that's a rock star, and I like that.
And guys, when you took the hiatus from Aslan for a little while to get the health together, what did you do in that time apart from relax and recover a little bit?
He used to wheel me around in the wheelchair down to Botanic Gardens. Oh, look at them flowers. To the zoo. Oh, look at that lion. It was like, you know, what's that program? You know that program? You know that program Dave Williams is in? You know the
Little Britain?
Yeah, you know your man. That's what it was like. The two of us with my hair got done and shaved.
I want that one.
Yeah, that's what we were like, going around the Botanic Gardens. Brilliant. And as soon as he turned his back, I jump up. But now, I got into a mad one. It's funny because if I don't have the gigs to exercise the demons, I get really depressed. And I didn't realise this because I'd never gone, we didn't gig for about 2 years. And I'd never gone that length of time since we started and not be gigging, you know. And I just got really depressed and really got into a dark place. And I remember thinking, you know, I was looking at the world and all the problems in the world and all, and thinking, what a waste of a life, you know. You were a singer in a fucking band and there's kids out there starving. You really done nothing with your life, you waster. And I just got into this really, oh man. And I remember the guy, Mark Downey, who books us out, came up to the house one day just to visit me. And I said, Mark, you know, I've been thinking about my life and I've just been pissed it down the toilet, you know, and being a fucking singer and, like, you know, the way the world is. And he was looking at me, he says, Jesus Christ. And he kind of talked to me and turned around. And it's funny, it was only then, myself and Joe then did a gig in a place called the Drayok in Blanchardstown, a little theatre. Because this gig, we don't normally do, well, this is cool, but we normally do it in a little theatre, so it wouldn't work in a pub or stuff like that, you know, because it's this infinite.
The sound.
loud and loud.
It's just in a pub, people be talking and yapping and all. Where in a theatre, they're there and they're going to listen, you know. And like in this situation here, the way we have a seat and all, people will listen. But in a pub, they're kind of, and you have all that, and it just doesn't really work. So we prefer to do it in a theatre. Anyway, so I was in the height of it, and we did this gig in the Drayok, the first gig of this, and it was the first gig I did, and I could actually feel the lift, you know. And then we done another couple of gigs, and that depression lifted off me. And it was only then I realised the reason I was so depressed was all the kind of demons that I just carry because I carried them, were building up because I wasn't exercising them. Like we all have parts of our personality. Like let's say for example, we all have a bit of effeminacy in us, you know, all men have, right? But you can't display that because if you do, you kind of, well, maybe now you can with all this gender fluidity. Oh yeah, anyway, I'm not going into that. But so
Not tonight.
Not tonight. It's just gone a little bit too far at the moment, I think. But anyway, so you have all these little things in your personality that perhaps you can't really portray, but when you're in a band on the stage, you can. So all those little things you can exercise, you can express them. So when you don't express them, then they build up in there, you know, and start causing problems. With me, they do anyway.
So there's something to be said, I always hear, about Irish audiences. What is the thing about Irish audiences that makes them so special, especially at an Aslan gig?
Right, I'll tell you what it is, right? If you're dodgy, an Irish audience will tell you in a heartbeat. They let you know in a heartbeat that you're dodgy. But equally, if you have something good to say, or if you have something to say, they appreciate, you know, if they see something of quality, they appreciate it. And they'll be loyal, as Joe says. They'll be really loyal to you once, you know, they see that. And they don't have to love what you do. Sometimes they don't even like what you do, but they will always appreciate quality. And they have a great eye for quality. Like, I'll give you, when we went over to America first, or to England first, you know, back in the day, we thought, like, we're kind of from Finglas in Dublin, you know, in Ireland. And we're going to go over here, and the bands over here are going to be dressed better, they're going to be cooler, you know, they're going to have a better take on this rock and roll thing, you know. And we went over there with this kind of subservient attitude, and we found when we got over there, people really gave us a lot of respect before they even kind of listened to us. And it was simply because of what had gone before us, the likes of Sinead O'Connor and U2 and Tin Lizzy and all these Van Morrison, people that had gone before us. And I found that over there, and especially in America, you get bands that would play a song by Pink Floyd or somebody, right? And they'd play it no perfect, but get them to write a song and they wouldn't have a clue, do you know what I mean? And it reminded me of, I remember going into Grafton Street one day, and a guy was with chalk, he was drawing the Mona Lisa on the path, you know. And I remember looking at it, it was a perfect replica of the Mona Lisa. And it's relatively easy to copy art, but it's very fucking hard to create art, you know. And I found in places like England and America, they were great at copying art, but they weren't great at creating it, you know, a lot of the time. So we went in there and steamed, and we weren't generic because we weren't coming from the same place that they were coming from. So because of that, we had a different sound to about us and a bit different attitude about us, and that's what kind of brought us through, and we've tried to stick to that over the years, you know.
Guys, how do you write a song? I mean, you speak a lot about songwriting and creating art, but you two are you've written Crazy World. Who doesn't know Crazy World?
I know, yeah. Look, it's great to have that song. It really is, and it's we're very proud of it, obviously, you know. But look, you know, let's say it was 2:00 on a Tuesday afternoon in Joe's sitting room that we wrote Crazy World, right? We could go up next Tuesday at 2:00 in the same room, in the same afternoon, with the same everything, and not write anything, you know. It comes from another place. It just, some days it happens, some days it doesn't. When Crazy World came out first, I didn't like it. I remember singing it the first time, and I was thinking, oh, this is a shite song. And I was kind of almost embarrassed singing it, you know. And it's only then I started to get to like it over the years. But it's 98% perspiration and 5% inspiration. It's you get an idea for a song, and one of us will get an idea, and we'll come up with it, usually Joe, and he'll get the basis of the song, and then we'll be playing it, and I'll say, well, look at Joe, that's great, but I don't like the third line, let's whip that out and put something else in there, you know. And that's the way we do it. It's very organic, do you know what I mean? We just kind of write like that. And then Billy will say, look, I think the fifth line, I say, shut up, Billy. And
Billy's not here to defend himself tonight, Christy.
No, it's the once the momentum starts, you know, then the whole band then would come in and start bouncing off each other on bits and bobs, you know. So that's really it. I know it's
an energy builds. What happens is when that happens, then you build up an energy builds around the project that you're on at that moment, and everybody gets kind of enthused by the energy, and they all come up with ideas. And like as I said, I tell Billy and Alan to shut up, and me and Joe write the song.
Guys, either professionally or personally, what are you most proud of?
Well, I'm very proud of Crazy World, and this is the fourth single we had out. It's a cracking song. But I mean, I could go through our catalogue, and we have much better songs than those two songs, you know.
It is.
Much better songs. I'll give you a little story, right? When we were releasing Crazy World, it was off an album called Goodbye Charlie Mountainhead, right? So when you're releasing your songs, you have 3 singles on your album, right? So you release your worst single first, and that will go probably top 30. Your second best single next, that'll go top 20 kind of thing, and then your best single last. And so it looks like you're climbing, it looks like you're progressing, right? As opposed to your fourth single going to number 1 and the next single being top 30, do you know what I mean? It looks like you're dying. Do you understand? Yeah. That's the psychology of it, right? So when you write your album and you look at your 3 singles, you sit down with your record company and you decide between everybody what you think are the best songs, right? So we had 3 songs on the Charlie Mountainhead album. We had a song called Where's the Sun, Rain Man and Crazy World, right? So we said, right, well the shitty song is Crazy World. Let's release that first, which is what we did. So Crazy World's a big hit. And I said to myself, I remember saying, if you think that's good, wait until you hear Rain Man and Where's the Sun, which are far superior songs. And we released them, you know.
It's weird.
So you never know. You never know what's going to connect with an audience. Do you know what I mean? Like, what makes a great song is if you can get something that everybody can identify with, right? For example, you know My Way, the song My Way.
Yes.
Everybody on earth would like to think that they've lived their life and they're at the end of their life, right? And they might have messed up here and there, and they might have been, but they did it their way, you know. Everybody loves to think that's them, right? That's you put that to a melody and you're gold, right? Another one is, you know that one by Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. Who on earth hasn't had a broken heart? Somebody left them. If they came back, you'd love to think, you know, piss off, you know, I'm surviving. Everybody would love that. Put that to a melody and you're gold. So that's what you want it. So you want to appeal to the masses, you know. And I think with Crazy World, you know, like that whole thing, I don't know how many mothers I've met who said, you know, they were looking at their child, you know, something happened with it, and they thought, you know, how am I going to protect you in this crazy world? So people identify it for different reasons. You know, it's just one of those things that.
My Way is originally by I think 2 French twins. I think sang it, you know.
Yeah.
And then the exact same melody and bloody, you know, that's a very French sort of chord progression, if you know what I mean. Did nothing, you know. Who wrote the? I can't think of who wrote the lyrics. Not Neil Sedaka. One of those anyway wrote the lyrics.
But the English lyrics, so.
The English lyrics too.
And then
but then Frank Sinatra comes up, and then My Way, that it's just instant hit.
And you see, if somebody like Tom Jones had released My Way, it mightn't have worked. But Frank Sinatra's a bit dodgy, a bit leery, do you know what I mean? So for him to come out and say, I did it my way, there was a bit of edge to it, you know? Yeah. So everything, it was all the ducks lined up, do you know what I mean? And sometimes that just happens. How can you plan something like that? These things just happen, you know?
Guys, I'd sit here and talk to you all night, but I know you two have a gig to get to. But before I leave you, I have one last question, and that is, if God was to take you in the morning and he said, you only have one song to sing, what would it be?
Don't look down on me.
The end is near, so I face final curtain. No, I don't, Jesus. I would sing... Oh, I know what I'd sing. Always look on
I was just going to say that, I swear to God. Do. That'll be it.
That's the one.
And lads, on that note, we're going to leave you because we're going to go down and see the storytellers in action. Thanks for watching.